I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but there's no chance that there's going to be a federal election in Canada until absolutely necessary in 2025. Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau have no incentives to call an election. Both of their parties are effectively broke compared to the Conservatives, and their polling numbers, frankly, suck. Jagmeet Singh and the NDP voting in favor of a motion to put a 3-year pause on the carbon tax for all home heating is not an indicator that he is turning on Justin Trudeau. If anything, it is just an indicator that Jagmeet Singh is still a political weasel. He knows that this motion is not going to affect anything, but he is pretending that he is not a lackey of the Liberal government by finding a safe thing to vote against the Liberals on and then he gets to get up in front of the camera and say, hey, Justin Trudeau doesn't respect taxpayers and working Canadians. What's wrong with him? And the world keeps spinning on the way Justin Trudeau wants it because Jagmeet Singh on all the important votes will keep backing him up. The reason that this motion to pause the carbon tax on home heating across Canada is not going to do anything is because the incentives between both the Liberal Party and the Bloc Québécois does not exist. There's no incentive for them to put a pause on the carbon tax, especially for the Bloc Québécois. First, I want to get to the Liberals. So the Liberals do not want to put a pause on the carbon tax because obviously doing a full-scale pause and not just for Maritimers' home heating oil would make them look like they're retreating from their economic agenda. They don't want to touch that. You don't want to admit defeat on an issue as big as the carbon tax has been for the Liberals. You just keep pretending that it's working, and you just pretend that there's some special circumstance that was particularly hurting Maritimers who use home heating oil. It's about 40% of them that do. The reason that the Bloc especially doesn't want to vote for this is because Quebec has its own carbon tax. Quebec is one of 2 provinces alongside of British Columbia that has its own carbon tax regime. So this motion asking for a 3-year pause on all home heating from the carbon tax does nothing for Quebecers because their own government already levies a carbon tax against their home heating. So unless the Quebec provincial government gets rid of their home heating carbon tax, the Quebec MPs have no reason, the Bloc Québécois MPs have no reason to vote for this motion because they would basically be saying that the rest of Canadians other than Quebecers and people from BC should have a break from the tax. And obviously Bloc Québécois voters are hyper-nationalist MPs, so they're only going to do things that directly benefit Quebec, and so they're never going to make it so that Quebecers are paying a tax that the rest of Canadians are not paying. So Jagmeet Singh knows this, and he is just effectively trying to make it look like he's not abandoning his labor base and other working Canadians who might still be considering voting for the NDP. He makes it look like he's standing up for the man, while at the same time he's not breaking at all his supply and confidence agreement for the Liberal Party of Canada. Because remember, motions, even if they're defeated, it doesn't matter what party puts them up and who defeats it, it does not ever actually call into question the confidence of the government. There's no confidence vote when it comes to motions. There's only confidence votes when your own party defeats you wildly on a big piece of legislation that you called a confidence vote on, or if your own budget gets defeated. That's the only things that a confidence vote could get triggered on. And Jagmeet Singh 100% knows this. He does not have his pension yet. He does not want Justin Trudeau to go under. So he's just basically picking fake fights with the Liberals, that the Liberals need to give a pause for the carbon tax for Canadians. Has anyone had Jagmeet Singh call for a pause on the carbon tax before this Conservative motion? No, because he doesn't really care. He doesn't care if you're paying the carbon tax. He just cares about his own political career and the survival of his party in the polls and in sort of like the fundraising numbers. He knows that this is going to get the Liberals, or the NDP, a lot more donations by standing up for this, pretending like they are another anti-carbon tax party against the Conservatives. Well, they never actually have to take a hard stance against the carbon tax, so much so that they might start putting pressure on the Liberals that they're not going to pass some of their legislation unless they put a pause on it. Jagmeet Singh could ask for anything he wants right now from Justin Trudeau, and he'd probably get it. He could get a carbon tax pause immediately if he just said, I'm just going to stop voting for anything that the Liberals put up, and the supply and confidence agreement's over unless he, pauses the carbon tax. I can't in good faith keep supporting the Liberals if they're going to keep this carbon tax around. He could do that instantly. He doesn't want to, because Jagmeet Singh is a political weasel. Jagmeet Singh is someone who literally in TV interviews, I know this has nothing to do with the carbon tax, but I think this shows his low moral character. In 3 TV interviews, I think it was TV and paper interviews, it took him 3 times to be able to admit that a Khalistani separatist blew up Air India, killing over 200 Canadians. Jagmeet Singh is a hack. The man lies constantly. And just because he is voting against the Liberals' interest on this motion does not mean that there is going to be an election. It's not going to happen. Jagmeet Singh is not going to he'd be smart if he let a conservative majority government in, because maybe he could cast himself as the real opposition to them. But he's not that smart, so he's just going to keep basically acting as an errand boy for Justin Trudeau. Terrible political strategy, and this is why I constantly talk about it on this show. I'm obviously conservative. I'm literally running for the Calgary Signal Hill conservative nomination. Vote for me if you live there. Don't want another red Tory running the riding. But this is why I talk about political strategy constantly. Doesn't matter that I'm a conservative. Bad political strategy drives me up the wall. This is why I will even give advice to the Liberals, to the NDP, and the Bloc, even though I want the Conservatives to win, because I at least want there to be some intellectual sanity on how politics works. Jagmeet Singh could get anything he wants right now, and he doesn't want to do it because that might be somewhat of a uncomfortable position for him, because Jagmeet Singh is not made for politics. The man is made for, he's like a runway model, even more so than Justin Trudeau. Jagmeet Singh, even though I did say he doesn't have his pension yet, and that's why he probably in part doesn't want an election, I think one big reason he doesn't want an election is because Jagmeet Singh loves being on camera. He loves being a fashionable political figure on the Canadian stage, getting photos taken of himself, speaking at events, and he doesn't want to do anything that would even slightly risk an election, because Jagmeet Singh thinks that if he loses, then he loses the spotlight. The man could have made more money as a lawyer if he wanted to than as someone in Parliament, but he wants to continue in Parliament because not only might he get a pension, again, it's still less than what he would have gotten as a lawyer in other positions, but he wants to stick around because he loves being in the photograph of history at the moment. He loves that if you turn the page on what was going on in Canada 2023, that you must look at a picture of Jagmeet Singh at some point. He's a deeply narcissistic man and rivals the narcissism of Justin Trudeau. Well, that's about it for me today. I just want to plug my Give, Send, Go fundraiser in the description of this video. I am fundraising because I am fighting a defamation case against a Chinese billionaire who is suing me and the National Telegraph for saying literally nothing wrong. And basically, he's just doing this to intimidate us because he didn't want to sue a much larger organization that said things about him that we simply referenced. It's complete nonsense. I've paid now more than $20,000 defending myself. So any $5, $15, $50 donations really helps me out. And again, I'm running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in the riding or you have friends and family that do, buy memberships and vote for me in the nomination race when the vote likely comes up in the spring. I'm going to be putting my paperwork in pretty soon to be able to be on the ballot. It's going to be a super packed race, and I'm going to be probably one of, if not the only, anti-woke candidate going for the nomination. So other than that, I hope everyone has a fantastic day and checks in when I upload another video, whenever that happens to be.